Wayne. I am the Lone Headbanger. Thank you so much for joining me for yet another Mental Health Wednesday session. This week we are going to be talking about change. Now, I'll start off with my personal experiences because that's where I always start. So, in the last 12 months of my life, I've had several changes going on. There's been work role changes, which are challenges, but they are welcome ones, so that's absolutely fine. We've obviously had the COVID situation, so we're having to change all our social habits, and again affecting our professional lives as well, and even things like going to the shops all of a sudden has become a strange experience. And then also, on a more personal note, I've recently become single, so elements of my life have changed quite a lot over the past few months. So, according to my observations, what I've noticed of humans is that, generally speaking, we are creatures of habit. We don't really like change too much. We prefer routine and to have things set in stone and have a plan. This isn't true for everyone, of course. Different people, different things. Some people absolutely love change and love different things happening. But generally speaking, I've found that people just they like to have a plan and stick with it. They don't like having it changed, especially at very, very short notice. If people obviously do have changes forced upon them, especially at short notice, as I've said, it can have all kinds of issues involved. It could be things like panic attacks, or it could be the fight or flight response kicks in, and a genuine sense of fear in some cases, which I did cover in my video based on fear last week. If you want to go and give that a watch, it does kind of intermingle with this one a little bit. But yeah, it can create all sorts of responses to that situation. Now, they're not always bad responses. Sometimes it'll be euphoria and happiness, especially if it's a good situation. But it can be quite a negative experience having change thrust upon you. Now, when we are faced with a change, whether it be something instantaneous or something that's coming along further down the line, then obviously we draw our own conclusions as to how to react to it, good or bad. Personally, I tend to err on the bad side. Something that I've pretty much been like all my life is I always tend to think of the negative side of everything first. It wasn't like this about 12 months ago. I was actually starting to see the positive side, but as my mental health has declined within the last 12 months, then unfortunately I'm seeing more and more of the negative side of things. So whenever a change happens, whether it is instant or whether it's further down the line, I'm always picking it apart and looking for the weak points as we go on. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it does always pay to be prepared for things that can go wrong. I can't see the merit in diving into something head first and not being prepared for a bad outcome. Plenty of people do it. They just headlessly charge ahead and just make the best of any situation that occurs from that. But that is not the way I tend to look at things. I tend to plan for the negatives. But the big problem with that kind of angle is that if you become obsessed with finding the negatives, then you will never see the positives. This does lead back into the video that I did last week, which was based on fear. Obviously, if you want to have a look at that one and see how it ties in, then by all means do. Greatly appreciated if you do, and chuck it a like while you're about it. But essentially today we're talking about how to deal with these with these changes. So, as I say, you can be negative about it, but if you do that, then the good parts of whatever it is will just pass you by. And if you're looking for the bad things in a good change, then you're never going to find any joy in anything, if I'm being honest. So it's about adjusting your mindset and trying to find some level of balance between planning for the potential bad elements of whatever it is the change is, but also finding enjoyment in the good elements and seeing where the progress can be made. Because any change will give you an opportunity to progress usually, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time. It will give you a chance to move forward in your life in some way, and that should be embraced as well. So it is a case of, as I said, finding that balance and using your intelligence and your mind to really think about what's going to happen regarding this change, and trying to balance a contingency plan for if things go wrong, while also embracing that particular moment of change. Now, that's a difficult thing to do. I know this as much as anyone, because as I said, I tend to err on the negative side. However, what I have found is that simply stopping, take a deep breath, give yourself a little bit of time, and just analyse what this change is. If you think about it in a panic, then it will obviously make you think of the bad sides of it. But if you give yourself a little bit of time, calm yourself down, and think about what's going to happen, it may well be that you find a positive in there, and a bigger positive than all the negatives that you think you can throw at you. And that is what you have to look out for. So that would be my biggest advice regarding change, would be simply to take that moment, use your train of thought process, think about it, analyse it from all angles. Don't just look at the one side, because the other side could be even better, and just literally give it some real thought. Don't go rushing in and making panicky decisions and outbursts, because that doesn't help you or anyone else around you. If it's a group thing that it's going to affect, a bit of calm, a calm, reassuring voice might be what people need in order to make a good decision, and you can be the source of that. So I'm going to finish off today just with a short point here. If you do manage to change your mindset on change, contradiction in itself there, but if you do manage to adjust your mindset regarding change, and you find that all of a sudden you're finding change is beneficial, it may mean that you end up making more and more changes in your life with various things, because you enjoy seeing those differences, and that can potentially be a very powerful thing, and that could be a route to happiness which you can exploit. Maybe, maybe not, but as long as you make those logical decisions, then you've got every power in the world to make yourself happy and to adapt to change successfully. So with that, thanks so much for watching. My name's Wayne, I am the Lone Headbanger, so thank you so much for watching this video. It's a horrible world out there, it's a scary place, there's a lot of change going on, but stay strong, stay safe, and I'll see you next week.